One thing every successful individual, leader, and entrepreneur have in common is a consistent morning routine. Having a simple, easy to implement routine enables you to start your day with a sense of purpose, accomplishment, clarity, and direction. For this reason, I have prepared for you a free guide with an easy to follow 5 minutes morning routine and a tracking template where you can document your progress day by day. I've been receiving messages from some of you already telling me how this habit has transformed your days for the better. Download this 5 minutes morning routine right now by clicking the link on my show notes so you can start your day on purpose. Welcome to another episode of With Clarity and Purpose, and I am very excited because today we are going to discuss a topic that is very meaningful, powerful, and something that I practice every single day, to be honest with you. And the topic for today's episode is about letting go of resentment through the process of forgiveness. And we all have had experiences from the past where someone did something that hurt us, or maybe someone did something that disappointed us, and we started to build resentment towards that person. And then we started projecting that resentment and fears towards present and future situations. It happens to all of us. And let me give you the good news. There are processes to let go of resentment towards that person and even resentment towards ourselves. Because sometimes the person that we need to forgive is us, is the one standing there in front of the mirror. When we talk about resentment and even the process of forgiveness, even if it's related to another person, it is important that we understand that forgiveness doesn't have to do anything with that person. That person doesn't even know that we are going through a forgiveness process with them. The process has to do with all of us. Because who is the person who is being harmed by that resentment, by that anger, by that sadness? That is all of us. That is inside of that is happening. And that intensity that sometimes we feel in the chest or in the head or somewhere else, sometimes our body feels it, but we are not even aware. So as we are going through this episode, I want you to think maybe of someone that you are still holding a grudge against that person. Or maybe that someone is you, something you did, something you said. That's why I say that I think about forgiveness every single day, because it doesn't have to be a big thing in order for us to think about letting go of that resentment. Actually, the most dangerous resentment is the one that is not big, is the one that we feel every single day. For example, we are driving our car in the road and someone cuts us over and we feel this instant resentment or instant intensity against this person. And we think it's small, but here's the thing, small resentment by small resentment, it keeps building up and it ends up being big, right? And we don't even realize it because it's subconscious. We go through our day and we keep doing whatever we're doing, but inside of us, it keeps building up over and over. So that's why I say that I forgive and I do this forgiveness process that I'm going to share with all of you all the time. Even after I finish a coaching session with my one-on-one coaching clients, it's not that they did something to me. It's not that they said something that triggered me, but I do forgiveness with them as a way to disconnect from what we just did. So forgiveness and the process that I'm going to share with you is also another way to completely let go of what happened and just reset and restart and keep going with your day in a lighter way. That is what forgiveness is about. And again, resentment against others and resentment against ourselves. And sometimes it's not even about resentment, but just disconnecting, healing. It's an energetic cleanse. That's how I see it. If I observe any tension with myself or with someone, and how I usually feel it is in my chest. Whenever something worries me, or whenever someone said something that I was like, why is this person saying that? Or anything similarly, I just feel it in my chest. I feel the intensity racing. And I want you to ask yourself right now, whenever you feel resentment or intensity, or you feel disappointed at someone, your body feels it. Where do you feel it? For every person is different. I feel it in my chest, but I've had clients that feel it in their head. And someone may feel it somewhere else in their stomach. Where is that place for you? And I want you to become familiar with it, because whenever that intensity comes up, you're going to start noticing your body, how it tenses up, and the areas where you feel that resentment and that disappointment. And when you feel it and you notice it, then you're aware. And that's powerful, because now you can do something about it. And that something is the forgiveness process that I'm going to share with you. And I follow a specific forgiveness meditation that I'm going to share in the link in the show notes. So I truly recommend that you follow it. It's a 7 minutes meditation. But even before we jump into the meditation, let me talk about the benefits of forgiveness. The number one benefit is that you're letting go of that resentment and intensity that is damaging your body and your mind. And in a way, it's allowing you to be misaligned with your authentic self. Because your authentic self and your genuine self is full of love. And whenever we have that resentment, we feel anger, sadness, sometimes guilt. And that is occupying the place that love should occupy in your heart, right? So by letting it go, then you start seeing everything around you in a lighter way, in a clearer way, in a more positive and loving way. So that's the number one benefit. The second benefit, I would say, it's even understanding a little bit deeper the motive of people and even yourself. I truly believe that everyone is doing the best they can with the resources they have. Whenever someone does something wrong to you, right? Many times, I'm not saying all the time, but many times they didn't even know they did it. It was totally subconscious to them. And sometimes they don't even know that it's a boundary for you. They don't even know that it's a trigger for you. The same goes with us. How many times haven't we violated someone else's boundaries without knowing? And here's the thing, people, including us, we are not great at giving feedback. We are not great at communicating boundaries. And the less we communicate, the more we allow to ourselves to build resentment with other people and with us. Because guess what? If someone violates your boundary and you don't communicate it, that person may do it over and over without knowing it. So people are doing the best they can with the resources they have. Many times, a lot of the resentment we need to let go of, based on my experiences with my coaching business and even in my digital course, is with our parents. For me, my mom is someone that I've been with her forever. Like every challenge we have gone through life, like leaving Cuba, asking for political asylum, getting to the United States just by ourselves, like all of these things we have faced together. And of course, when I was in college, I spent 5 years and a half just away from her. But now she lives with my husband and I, because I want to make sure I give back. And being so close to her, and seeing her every day, sometimes there are triggers, right, from my childhood or something else. And sometimes we gotta understand our parents, just like us, they have done the best they could with the resources they had available at that moment. There were times where I held resentment because whenever we moved to Puerto Rico, I literally had to make the decisions. Every decision that I made, I didn't have much guidance because my mom didn't know better. My mom was focused on survival, on us getting money so we could eat, okay? So how can I resent her? She was focusing on what was a priority at that moment. But as a child, I didn't know better. I was like, why I'm not receiving the guidance? I never told her really, but I was thinking that when I saw their parents, guiding their kids to make certain decisions. I just needed to learn by myself. I needed to do the homework by myself. But that made me stronger. That made me more accountable. That made me more responsible because I needed to figure it out by myself. I remember sometimes going back at home and saying, Mom, I got an A in this exam. And she was like, is that good? Because she didn't know better. But she was doing the best she could with the resources she had. And thanks to her, I am where I am today, right? So I love that Tony Robbins says, if we blame our parents for the bad things, we gotta blame our parents for the amazing things too, right? And just having that understanding that people are doing the best they can with the resources they have, including ourselves, really allows you to feel more compassion towards everyone else, more empathy, be more forgiving and accepting that many times, most of the time, I would say people are not doing things because they want to do something bad to you, because they want to wrongdo you, okay? They are just doing the best they can with the resources they had. And I remember just being in a training. I was getting certified 2 years ago to be an NLP coach officially. I had been practicing NLP for the last 10 years, but this time I was getting certified to coach on NLP. And part of the exercises, we did something related to my mom. And the person who was coaching me, she told me, hey, you're going to have homework, because after every coaching session, there is always homework. I want you during the break to call your mom right now, just after the break, during the break, sorry, we were having a break during the training, and tell your mom, this is how I've felt. I know there have been situations where I haven't responded in the best way, and I want you to please forgive me. And to me, that was like, what? Am I gonna do that? Like, just ask for that way? But I was committed to taking action, and I was asking myself, how can I ask my clients to do something that I'm not willing to do myself? And I did it. And that moment when I actually asked her to forgive me, which, by the way, she was surprised. She was like, oh my God, no, I understand you're always busy and doing the best. She's so nice. When I did that, that was such a healing moment for me and even for our relationship. And from there, our relationship got even better. And even the confidence I have on myself to admit when sometimes I don't respond in the best way. And even ask my husband and ask my mom, hey, I messed up, please forgive me. Just saying that, oh my goodness, it's such a healing practice. You gotta try it. I know it's not easy. And you're gonna be like, what? No, the ego is gonna get in the way. But you know better. You're aware that this resentment that you feel towards yourself and others are not doing any better to you. So you gotta pass through that wall and ask for forgiveness. And the practice that I follow, the meditation that I follow, is based on the native ancient Hawaiians way of being. Something that I train and I spend many hours on. It's on Huna. Huna is like a native ancient Hawaiian philosophy that I study every other year. For the most part, in average, I go to Hawaii in order to go to another level of this native ancient Hawaiian way of being. It's called Huna. You gotta Google it. Dr. Matt James, that's his lineage, and he takes such a good care of teaching us his practice. And I mean, it's a lot of fun. These trainings is a lot of learning, a lot of practicing, a lot of becoming aligned with yourself even more. And one of the most powerful meditations I've learned in these trainings is the practice of forgiveness. And the one that we practice is called Ho'oponopono. Let me tell you, there are different versions of Ho'oponopono. There is one that most people have heard of, but I practice one that not a lot of people have heard of. And that's the one that I enjoyed the most. Let me explain you first what Ho'oponopono means, because it's a beautiful meaning and it goes aligned with the practice. So pono in Hawaiian means to make it right. Ho'oponopono is pono is repeated twice in this word because it means to make it right twice. In the meditation that I practice, you ask for forgiveness and you also give forgiveness. In the meditation, you say, I forgive you, please forgive me too. So forgiveness goes in both ways because, as I've mentioned before, we don't know when we have crossed people's boundaries and we don't even know about it. And they never told us, so we continue. So I love this meditation because it is to make it right, to forgive going both ways. You tell to the person or the group of people in the stage, because there is a stage that you're going to visualize. And as I mentioned, I'm going to include the link in the show notes. We are not going to do this meditation right away, but you can click on that link and you can follow it. And the process is basically, there are a lot of things that happen, but the main thing, you imagine a stage and then you bring onto the stage the people that you want to forgive. And then you flow from your body this love healing energy to the people on the stage. You let them completely be filled with this love healing energy. And then you look at them in the eyes and you say, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. And then you give and receive this beautiful gift of forgiveness. And then there is a time in the meditation where you cut the energetic cords that are basically connecting you with these people that you're forgiving. And that's how the meditation process concludes. Now, there are other practices of Ho'oponopono. There is one practice where you say, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you, something like that, right? And it goes in different sequences, but you can do it in any order. The one I practice is the one that I just described, and I'm going to include it in the show notes. But there are different ways to forgiving. As I always tell my clients, find the one that works with you. Practice different ones. And of course, allow some time to practice. Don't practice one today and then tomorrow and say it didn't work. At least dedicate 30 days to practicing the same technique. And then if you don't connect with it, then switch to another one. But at least dedicate that time frame, right, where you are consistent. It is so powerful because whenever you go through your day and maybe you had a difficult conversation with someone, or you had a challenging conversation with your mother or your husband, and you feel that intensity, it is so important that you go through this forgiveness process and you let go of the intensity. Because it's not until you're mentally and emotionally flat that you can have productive and fruitful conversations with the people that you need to forgive, including yourself. I hope this episode was so helpful. Forgiveness is a process and a practice that has completely made me a more empowered person, because when you forgive, you're taking responsibility for everything that is happening in your life, and you're not pointing at the other person anymore. You're actually recognizing that that feeling has been triggered within yourself, and you're taking the responsibility to do something about it, which is to forgive. And who is being benefited from forgiving? It is yourself. So I want you to it's a 7 minutes meditation. Just give it a try, or maybe practice the other one that I mentioned. Just choose one and at least practice it for 30 days. You can do it at night, because you can do it at night or in the morning, but think about every person that you interacted with and just say, I forgive you, please forgive me too, and go through the process. As I mentioned, you don't have to wait until someone does something wrong to you, or someone hurts you or triggers you. You can even practice it every day as a way to disconnect from everything that happened through a day, as a way to release and cleanse energetically, so you can continue moving forward in a more aligned way. I hope this episode was helpful. Please share with your family, your friends. Let's continue spreading this loving, accepting, and forgiving energy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. As always, See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening at With Clarity and Purpose. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. Please share with your friends and family so we can continue building an empowered community together. I'll see you next week.